I am Paolo, I am the Master of Ceremonies here at IICSR, and I can't wait to have you here to learn together how to learn sustainability and make this planet better. Come to see how beautiful is the place where you're gonna be.
Amazing, huh? I wanted to build a more inclusive world. That's why I joined IICSR.
Hi, I am Veenu Tiwari. I have joined IICSR postgraduate course on CSR and sustainability. I wanted to learn about ESG, CSR and SDGs. IICSR has the best faculty for this course.
Shadi, the air quality index in Delhi is 216 today. It's the worst possible air quality index.
That's really too much, and we all have to do something to climate change.
We all want to build a sustainable and inclusive world, and IICSR is the only place which is training you all. Come join us.
But the session will start with permission of everyone. The lunch was good, and so the basic lunch is up for the energy. We believe the energy will be there. Synergy will be there like the two previous panels, and the question answers will flow. We'll keep the mutual perspectives to little moderate so that we stick to the time. Especially, I'll remind everyone, we could have missed lunch, but not the train or the bus or the plane in the evening or other appointments. So we intend to conclude as per time. Thank you very much. Now the next session is ESG integration in companies. Our two previous forenoon session has reasonably made us clear on what is ESG and what are the dilemmas and what are the so-called gray areas. And with those perspectives in the background, now it is for us to understand, in spite of the limitations, how we move forward with the hope and also clarity. Hope is important, at the same time clarity is important, that not only hope will function, some clarity based on the rule, regulation and template frameworks are to be followed. And ESG in present context in India is more relevant to the companies which not only ensure their profitability, but they are playing a bigger role by impacting societies. So let's call without any further delay Mr. R. Vedya, ESG analyst and a professional involved at global level. Give a big round of applause, please. Thank you. Now, I will call Shantanu Satyapati from Avara Energy. Sorry, Aprawa Energy. Mr. Shantanu. And Mr. Pratyush Panda from L&T Infotech. As per the original plan, one more panelist was supposed to be there, but seeing the vast experience of the panelist and the moderator, we have decided that we can do away with that panelist and those things can be handled with us, and that's why we go ahead with this. I'll request our Vedya moderator for the panel to take over the proceedings. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, panelists. Hope you're doing well. All great. So had heavy lunch. I think audience also a little bit of relaxed after the heavy lunch. So while coming to the topic, right, integration of ESG into the company's organizations, your experience is majorly into power sector and your experience majorly into CSR and sustainability, right? I mean, I've gone through LinkedIn profiles and understood your journey as well. So as we see sustainability as a sector agnostic profile, while implementing those things in the organization, with your previous employers or your thoughts on implementing ESG, what are the challenges that you know foresee while implementing? It can be a lack of resources or any such thing. So what do you think? What are the major challenges that a company would face, and how a company should address such issues? So this again general talks. We can have a discussion around it. It's easy only with three people, providing insights. Yeah, yeah. Please, over to you.
Okay, thanks very much for this putting this question. Yeah, you asked about how are you? So yes, the fever of COP27 is on, and all must have been, because we all are in the ESG space, must have been going through what is happening in the space. And this discussion, of course, will discuss that what as an organization we are doing, and what are the challenges as the question is put by. And of course, Mr. Pandai, who is an eminent in the infotech, and but also is an expert in the space. Before coming to your question, just I'd like to share a little story about when I was coming and I was going through your discussion points. I thought, let me just Google that. Of course, in India, what is the scenario? I'll a brief energy transition, how it is happening. And from my company, of course, we are into energy and utility sector. So how we are transitioning as a company, and how we are contributing to the country's energy transition. So while going through that, just I thought to take that how other countries, the developing countries, are doing, and because they promised to give 100 billion per year for last 10 years, and hardly it is met, maybe 50%. Less than that, and also it is not the grant. Many are in the terms of loans. So there are many gaps in those commitments, and now the Asian countries are telling that India and China also have to pay or contribute that climate fund. What is the discussion or debate is ongoing in the COP27. So while going through the UK, because who I'm reporting is from UK, Mr. Malcolm. So I used to interact with him that how is the UK's energy scenario, and the Prime Minister, which is now just toppled the previous short time Prime Minister, and now Mr. Rishi Sunak is the Prime Minister of UK, and the Prime Minister candidate is been selected based on one of the key issues, and that is the energy cost. And you see, the one key word I'd like to mention is the fuel poverty or the energy poverty. And in UK, people, like thousands of people, are dying because they are not able to pay the energy bills, and they are not able to survive in the cold period during the winter. And so that's why actually their energy bills are so high. And during this Ukraine war, actually this has further increased. And that's why the challenge for them is how to reduce the energy bill. At the same time, their climate commitment is phasing out coal by 2024. But the government is now just asked all the coal-based power plants which are sitting idle, that to be standby for this winter. So that means, though because their energy, 40% of energy is coming from gas. 40% is from gas. Because of this Ukraine war, the gas supply is not that much, that's why the cost is increasing. And the second share of electricity is renewable. So that is around 37-38%. And rest is 10-15% nuclear and rest. So that's why actually coal, of course, is 2-3%, 5%, but that is most dependable. Because once the coal is there and the plants start running, then they have power. But renewable, the challenges, energy storage, not round-the-clock energy available. So that's why the keyword which I mentioned is the fuel poverty. which is being faced by UK, and that is going to be aggravated. So that is what the energy situation, or what we are telling, the energy transition situation in UK. So whether, if Russia is not going to give that much gas, that is which needs their 40% of energy supply, are they going to increase their coal? So that is a question which is still under discussion, and this government is having the challenge in that direction. So with this, actually, just I wanted to give a global context and what the developing countries are doing. They're committing, but they may not be able to meet those commitments in long run. So, and coming back to India and as a company, how we are facing, what are the challenges we are facing. We are having around 2500 megawatt of electricity. Of course, just to give a brief about my company, Apraava Energy, which is having two shareholders. One is CLP Group, which is one of the leading power company in Asia Pacific and having 120 years old. And the second investor is CDPQ, which is an institutional investor from Canada, having 50% share. So 50%, 50%. So, and their climate vision is very futuristic. And I can mention that when I joined CLP Group, of course, at that time it was CLP Group. Just last year we have rebranded as Apraava Energy to be particularly make our position in India, and also plan to be listed in a couple of years. So that's why the rebranding has happened, but it is still 50% owned by the CLP Group, which is a very, very leading power company in Asia Pacific region, having presence in, of course, Hong Kong. Around 90% of electricity generation, distribution, and everything is by CLP Group, and in China, Australia, and of course in India. So having more than 30,000 megawatt, it is equivalent to, we can say, the NTPC. So coming back, that CLP Group has taken a climate vision 2050 target back in 2007. If you go to the website or the web search, and as part of that vision formation, just I joined in 2007, CLP India and CLP Group at that time was 100% owned by 100% owning CLP India. And that time the target was to reduce our GHG intensity from 0.84 kg per kilowatt hour. So you understand the intensity, because now the science-based target and everything what you are telling, you have to have a unit. Either it is absolute reduction or it is intensity-based reduction. And most of the companies, power companies, of course steel and other companies, are also following the intensity-based, because you know the absolute reduction is quite challenging, and also the methodologies are not streamlined. For example, if I'm going to plant this much trees, because for absolute reduction, these are the options. And how much carbon reduction will be there, that is not that much authentic or have been validated. So that's why mostly it is intensity reduction. And that time we have taken the reduction of from 0.84 to 0.82. Sorry, 0.84 to 0.2, that is 80% reduction by 2050. And due to these global stakeholder pressures, we have gone through 4 revisions of that target, of the Climate Vision 2050 target. And in the recent revision, it is net zero by 2050. And 2 key things I would like to mention: how your climate targets, your climate vision is influencing or pressurizing you to take business decisions. And for this, to meet that net zero target, of course there are many other decisions, but 2 key decisions I would like to mention. One is phasing out or shut down or going out of all your coal-based power plants by 2040. So that is one. That means phasing out, what is the global term, and also India, we are telling that it is phasing down. So what is both our investors have been committed and publicly announced to phase out the coal-based power plants by 2040. That is one thing. And second, to meet the 10 years SBTi target, another decision has been taken, that is to shut down 1500 megawatt of coal-based power plant in Australia 4 years before its expiry date. The expiry date is 2032, and to meet the 2030 target, the decision been taken to shut down those power plants of 1500 megawatt in 2028. That is 4 years prior. And these all are available in our website, CLP Group website, or even Australia Yalone power plant. If you search, you can find that. So these are the key business decisions been taken, phasing out of coal-based power plant by 2040 and preponing your coal-based power plant closure to meet some intermediate targets. And of course, we have in India, we have one coal-based power plant at Jajjar, Haryana, that is 1320 megawatt, and another 17 wind and solar sites across India. So that is around 1200 megawatt. And that also our PPA will be expiring in 2037. Of course, we are not going to extend that. Rather, we are planning how we can pre-close with a more transitional way, not that just shutting down. So that is actually just to give a context that how as a group we are doing. And coming back to his question of what are the challenges, definitely there are many challenges to execute these transitions and then align your transitional targets in the at least in the countries, and of course your global targets or global transitional goals. And what is the energy sector, power sector global transition? That is, I mean, net zero by 2040. If you see the SBTi target, so how it comes? Only the power sector is having a clear net zero target. Other sectors are still under development of guidelines, particularly hard to abate sectors like you say steel or cement and these sectors. And in that is most challenging is although we are in reducing our intensity by adding renewable energy, but the coal will be the baseline on the mainstream at least for next 10 to 15 years. So why it is for next to 10 to 15 years, even more than that? Because if you see now, India's, just to give a context of India's power sector, it is how much? Around 400 gigawatt of our generation capacity, 400 gigawatt. And out of that, only renewable energy is 120 around. Okay, so it is 30%. We can say 30% of renewable energy generation capacity. Sorry, the installed capacity. So installed capacity. But when it comes to generation, the installed capacity is 30% of the total capacity. But when it comes to generation, it is only 10 to 12%. Okay, so when the actual generation power we are using, solar is contributing around 6-7%, and wind is also just 7-8%. So if we are going to meet the 2030, for example, 2030 energy demand, and as per the CEA, if you see the 2030 energy in demand would be around 50% from now, but due to COVID, it may be around 35%. So if it is 400 gigawatt and 30%, let us say, so another means around 4 into 30% means 120 gigawatt will need to be added. And we should be happy if the renewable energy is going to meet that increasing amount only. Because for 120, we have to install 3 times of the generation capacity. Means around 400 gigawatt we have to install, which is our target, 2030 target under the five key targets which was taken in COP26. So in that sense, only renewable energy would be meeting the increasing demand, not the 400 which we have now. So the base demand is still to be thought of how to be met. If it is hydrogen energy or the alternate energy sources, or that's why the challenge where I'm coming to, that whether the coal-based power plant, if going to run another 10, 15, 20 years, so whether technologies like carbon capture would be needed to make those sector or make the thermal power plants more greener, at least until we have these options in place, round-the-clock energy, battery storage, or hydrogen. So that I think is the key challenge for energy transition in India. As company-wise, maybe we'll discuss once we hear from Mr. Panda actually about his thoughts.
Thank you very much, Shantanu. It's very well explained on the power sector know-how and implementing environmental perspective and what are the challenges faced, and how the companies are taking initiatives to address such issues, and also aligning with themselves with the national commitments and pledges taken last year in COP26, and also the revised INDCs. So it is very well and comprehensive explanation on the power sector related, energy related discussion. Thank you very much. I'd like Mr. Panda to throw in your insights about decarbonization. What are the initiatives that is being taken by the organizations, and especially in your organization or your experience over the period of 1-2 decades, okay, and also how are companies looking, I mean, as of now, a lot of companies are pledging towards becoming net zero or carbon neutral by 2030 or 2040. So how are companies are actually getting to pledge such an aggressive goals and targets? So it's next 15 years or less than 20 years, right? So how that's an aggressive ambitious goal. How are companies looking to implement such or achieve such goals? Now, what specific initiatives that they are taking to? Your thoughts on that? It's very bigger question, but
Let
yeah.
me start. If I not answered, just pull me back to the main thread.
Surely.
So, thank you, moderator, Vidya, co-panelist, and everybody here, especially the host and students. It's always nice to talk to everyone, but me, I'm not cynical. I'm pretty positive, but I normally try to show everyone and to myself also the other side of the screen. How do I look on the mirror? How do you say ESG? What is the full form? Hope everybody is not sleeping here. Huh? Correct. So I call it employee, those who work, employee sustainability and greenwashing. If I'm good, so I am a good ESG practitioner in India. I'm talking about myself. So what I look at as a ESG practitioner, first up my sustainability. How can I be a good, I'm called as good ESG practitioners. And for my company, I try to do everything greenwashing. This is what I'm talking out of my own experiences, what I've seen and learned all through, as on today also. And it starts with me. I'm not saying you, it starts with me only. Coming back to, as our moderator saying, challenges, this field is full of challenges. And believe me, those who are pursuing career, you will get best of opportunity to pursue your career on this. If you are ready to face those challenges, be here, or say, Harsha, I'm leaving this course and going somewhere else. And you should not compare yourself wherever you work with your co-colleague, other department, with respect to salary, work time, travel time, and not having time for your family. If you are serious on those, it's bound to happen, and it's growing. We are on, we are not in, what do you call that, take-up stage. We're not even autopilot as of now. It will take another bare minimum 5 to 10 years to achieve that, autopilot where pilot can relax. So it is now we're just taking up, and you are all going to be part of it. I mean, especially students I'm talking about. Coming back to, let me explain challenges in all three. On E part, so we have just heard about plantation can be carbon sequestration. The basic thing, let me put it on the layman language, kind of greenhouse emission going on in India, forget about rest, our own country. If we start planting tree to make it neutral, we all have to back into our home and put plant yet will not achieve 64%. Is it possible? Again, example of a greenwashing. So, even if you do all India, whole of India, plantation will not achieve what we have already given to the environment. I mean, already emitted. You cannot take it back. Second, going into the S part of sustainability and all, the human rights, now also those who are, feeling bored can Google, check ILO. India shows always on the red. It's a red flag country. Human rights violation is rampant. Whether we accept, decline, with respect to my own country, my religious belief, my political belief, it's red. It's red. So again, miles to go there. And in governance, sorry?
Please set the weather.
No, I must give some, we have heard in the previous session some example of, Lord, I'll not name any people are trying best at their company level. Something goes wrong and it happens. But why it happens mostly in India, even for the small companies. And same thing doesn't occur, except 1-2 example, Enron and all, it doesn't occur abroad on US or UK. Forget about Scandinavian countries. They're far, far, far. But there are countries very close to us. You can take examples. Some of the Scandinavian already they are carbon neutral, including Bhutan also, I believe. We don't dare to learn because we are a bigger country. 56 inch का सीना है अपना. We don't want to learn from them. We only want to learn from US and UK. We don't want to learn from our neighborhoods and all. And this is how we keep on doing mistakes. Coming back purely on how do the challenges and all. If you are deep into this scene, put your dream. If you are a passionate ESG practitioners and you have some dreams in your mind, the only thing you can get it done, put that seed into the mind of your MD and CEO. The morning there are questions where to start. Even if you are management trainee or ESG, if you can facilitate in a way, this seed goes into the mind of the MD and CEO, ball will start rolling as a fireball. Otherwise, आप पानी में डंडा ठोकते रहो, पानी तो कटने वाला है नहीं, आपको सैलरी जरूर मिलते रहेगा, चंद दिनों, चंद महीने, चंद साल के लिए. So this is where people can start on those lines. What was some part of your other question? I missed out. Challenges I've addressed.
Yeah. So how companies are taking initiatives to address or rectify, mitigate those risks or address
I was
those
telling,
challenges?
correct. Got. Thanks for the reminder, moderator. One correct, right thing, like how do we get at senior level, like I had ESG at my end at L&T Infotech, and we are going through L&T Mindtree merger process, and I was talking to our host during the lunch time. So what I did, first thing I went, spoke to the group chairman and all. I said, are we serious on this line? If yes, so I have 2-3 things to get it done from your decks. First is don't call board committee on CSR and only discuss CSR. There are good people there. They have the ability to discuss entire ESG. So we changed the board committee name, already approved in the last board meeting on March, April, as a board committee on ESG. And anything under the ESG will discuss. CSR is one part. Otherwise, morning में somebody was saying ना, 100 में से 35 ले आए, tick boxing हो गया, and we feel that we are the best one. Might be in India, not globally. So you have to have that journey start from pass mark towards excellence. How can I achieve from 35 out of 100, again towards 95? Your journey will start on those lines. And for that, this is one of the weapons. Get it done. Second, if your board committee is headed by independent director who knows this subject, who is not from finance and all, फिर वो bottom line देखने लग जाएगा. So person who knows this subject, if those kind of he or she is heading your board committee ESG, your life will be much easier. Yet there will be challenges, but you can easily, not easily, I mean with all hardship, we can get the work done and ball start rolling to different department. And third step could be create out your own risks on ESG. Give it to, there's a board committee on risk management also. When you are the doer, give them some these KPIs, ask them to review on their board meeting. Am I doing rightly? I am doing it because nobody knows ESG. तो मैं तो अच्छा बोल के निकल जाता हूँ. But somebody has to have a watch on me as a watchdog. Another board committee on risk management committee kind of thing. And when they start, they will bring out perspective from different angle and give it to you so that you are excelling from one point that I call 35. The journey starts toward your 95. If you do that, slowly, all your morning we talked about, I agree with you, sir, when you talk about eco-vardis. I'm in deep into those line, and this year my challenge is to increase by 10%. I don't know whether I'll get 8% or not current year, but it's a very good tool, very simplified, and to start journey, especially for the students, go through. It's easy to understand on your arithmetic kind of thing, and those scores will start getting better for whether it at MSCI, at Sustainalytics, as S&P, or at EcoVadis, or at CRISIL. The moment your rating goes up, that's a matter of satisfaction for your client, for your investors. Investors start taking you seriously. While talking investment, now all investors are trying to put chai ka chanli called ESG chanli. So all that money will come through passing through the ESG chanli. So if you are not good on ESG, going ahead, the investment of your company may go out to your competitors because they are interested in same kind of organizations. So if you are an IT company, your investor will go out from your book and they will invest with your competitor, again detrimental for you. So start doing it proactively, readily, and it's again, when you put it on ground, it's not rocket science. Yes, none of the ESGs is a rocket science. It's like you learn how to ride a cycle on Google, that theory. When you start putting on practice on road, 2-4 बार गिरेंगे, घुटना छिलेगा, but सीख जाते हैं ना. It's same thing. Once you start putting on to pressure, it will come down. I'll give you one example. At my company, before my joining, roughly 2.5 lakhs trees were planted during last 10 years. When I counted what is my urban footprint, how much should be done, I got it ready for the board meeting. I thought nobody will talk, but my MD was very smart. Pratyush, kitna chahiye hoga to be neutral for the current year? I said, sir, close to 1 million. Are you serious? Bola, yes, sir, the details are here, 8.75. And this year, from 1 lakh to, I have gone into 1.6 million plantation going on across Sundarban and on. Same company funded, which was not giving for 10 years. You have to show the buyback period for that. With my previous experience, I'll tell you, we're talking about all thermal power, cement, steel and all. I have worked with Holcim for 11, 12 donkey years. So when cement kiln, which rotates and produce cement 24/7, needs 1400-degree temperature round the clock. And you have to fire with, as you said, 90% time coal, some waste, something will go, but 95% coal is fired, thermal power. And lot of heat is get wasted to the extent of 30 to 35%. And because I was deeply have work on UN organization, I have a frequent visit to UNEP office and all, I could see waste heat recovery system in France and German. Very small. It's Indian INR, those days it was like 50 to 70 crores waste heat recovery system. 2011-12 we started it at Himachal plant because Himachal is known as Deva Bhumi, no pollution and all those things. Yes, we did it there. On my document, it was showing 1 year, 9 months or 10 months as buyback period. Means within that period, this money will recover whatever invested. To everybody's surprise, to my surprise also, it came back in 9.5 months, not even 10 months. So board get excited, said, Pratyush, we now get it done across all our locations. And this is how at ACC, the cost of production went down because I saved those 30 to 35% of the energy cost and put back. At the same time, I have not used extra coal. I could have. That's a saving for the country with respect to economy, with respect to environment, lesser dependency on Mother Earth. And third, as a company, PLN, bottom line, the cost of profitability has not gone up, but cost of energy means cost of production has gone up. So we have to relate this to this part to help somebody understand. Otherwise, Indian Lala will say, yes जी, investment नहीं है ये expenditure है, नहीं करो, छोड़ दो. So you have to prove that this is a investment for future, not expenditure today. If you are able to do that, you are the best head ESG across India. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your experience and your thoughts on addressing such challenges. And the last statement which you mentioned, right? So that was the thing we we were discussing in the last session, last panel discussion, that sustainability has been seen as a cost-centric team, but not as a revenue generation team. So that mindset would definitely change, considering the significant
We have to be the catalyst, those who handle.
Yes. Rightly, we spoke a lot about the environment, like decarbonization. I don't say methods or something like that, but it's not into detail. But yeah, initiatives taken in order to cut down the carbon emissions in the organization's operations. Let's shift our focus a little towards social aspects. Considering you worked in a bigger sector like cement sector, and Dr. Shantan also worked with thermal power plant sector, power generation sector basically. So we see a lot of social related aspects that needs to be addressed. It can be health and safety related aspects, or HR policies, or kind of human rights related issues also in the supply chain. We see a lot of such issues. And so how a company is taking forward, to address such issues. It can be controversies also. For example, there's a, fatality, or there's a significant accident, fire accident. How companies would take, address such issues, and how it should manage. So because they're like critical issues, life and death matter for a person, right? So how it needs to be addressed. Let's start with Dr. Shantanu, then Ms. Panda, and then we can discuss on that.
Right, this is a very close audience. We generally, when we sit in a conference, generally we not able to connect with the audience that's far away, and here it is really. That's it is more connecting. Otherwise, it is just at the end of the session. Hardly we have 2-3 questions. So also we'll have good time to have questions, because we are having means saying our side, but it will be very interesting to listen to your side, and maybe that will help to clarify any questions in the backdrop of your mind about health and safety. Again, actually, of course, now I have transitioned personally from health, safety, environment to then only environment, and now mostly into only sustainability or ESG, because now generally previously we are looking after the environmental clearances or the consent starting with, but now we are hardly into those things. So that's transition includes the health and safety part, and I'm lucky enough to be in the group, in the CLP group, where health and safety is the utmost priority, and our MD's salary and bonus, everything is linked to the health and safety. Not only MDs, our incentives also, each employee's annual incentive, the country's, the region's annual incentive, the score is very much dependent on health and safety. If there is a fatality, our incentive will not go over 120. And if it is not there, it can go up to 170, 180. So that is the culture, and we are able to live by that. And when I worked at Paguthan combined cycle power plant for around 6-7 years. That is a power plant where last 22 years since inspection in 1998 to its expiry of the power purchase agreement, not a single fatality was there. That is the level of commitment from the top management, and we are living by it. It's not that there is no fatality. Of course, our wind farm has fatality at least one in last 6 years. So otherwise, in my stay in the CLP group, there are hardly any fatalities. Of course, last 4 years, there is no fatality. So that is actually a touch wood, because it is, as you mentioned, the person who is coming to a company, he should go back safe. So, means when a news comes, something happened, so how means devastating it is. So that's why it is very, very important. That's why it is not only important for your employees, how you are transferring it to your contract partners, because there actually the challenge remains. So when we are telling that we are fatality free for last 4 years, it is not that only employees, but our contractors who are working with us, so how they can go safely. So that's why health and safety is the utmost priority, must be taken very seriously by any organization who is working in any space. So fatality can happen anywhere. It's not that only when we are operating the biggest machines or the toughest operating scenarios, but also it can happen in a atmosphere like this if it is not taken care. If the electrical safety or these are not been taken care, this can happen here also. The buildings that is being made nowadays, so how those are being passed through the certificates, the requirements, the guidelines, or the building act, so that it is safer for the people who are staying inside. So, and coming to human rights, again on the governance, that is another challenge. And in human rights, the challenge is to understand what is the requirement, because we only know that maybe the child labor or the pay, means actually the employees should be paid as per the rule, maybe the laborers, but beyond that there are many things which the organization, the people who are handling it must be aware about. Then only they can implement gender diversity. When it comes to gender diversity or diversity as a whole, we are considering only as gender diversity. We are increasing the female employees, but there are many things hidden behind the diversity and inclusion. And not only increasing the female percentage, how conducive atmosphere we are giving so that they can work and they can work, they can achieve their best. It's not just onboarding the female employees. So these challenges, as Mr. Panda was mentioning, that the ESG person should, because he or she or the team cannot be expert in anything, but how they can connect the dots within the organization. So I can give an example. In 2 years back, we have started a top-up and bottom-down approach, because it's not be ESG should not be only top-down. And we created a sustainability working group. You can also go through our integrated report, and it mentions about it. And the sustainability working group comprises the heads of all the units. For example, the head of renewable, the head of our coal-based power plant, head of CSR. So there are 12 vice president level people are in that working group, and we meet every month. Every month we meet to discuss, to take the suggestions from the bottom, from the each asset or each of their team. Then after discussing it, if it is feasible and we feel that it is a good suggestion, then we propose it in the sustainability committee, which is headed by the managing director, and all the directors are part of that sustainability committee. And that usually happens once in 3 months. And then it is either gets approved or it is further given for further analysis or consideration, and then to be executed. And if required, then it goes to the board. For example, a big capex investment or a target need to be changed, so this also goes to the board for the final approval. So the governance is very important, and Mr. Panda was mentioning that like the unit level, then it comes the sustainability working group, for example, for us, then to the committee and to the board. And also top down is always there. If some decision comes from the shareholder level, so then it comes through this channel as well for execution. And couple of examples I can say that out of 20-25 projects we are doing on sustainability or ESG space, particularly like biodiversity assessment, because sometimes in the carbon tunnel vision, we miss many things. We only focus on GHG reduction and net zero, but there are many challenges like biodiversity, like waste, water. These are just not been taken care because the lenders are focusing only on GHG. So what is your carbon target, what is your SBTA target? But recently we are financing one of the wind project in Gujarat, and out of 6 lenders, there are focus on biodiversity because that is a biodiversity sensitive area, and the focus is not to do only the environmental social impact assessment study. Of course, it is not mandatory by the legal point of view, but lenders are requiring it. In addition to that, a prerequisite is to conduct the critical habitats assessment, CHS study. That is second. And third is the ESDD, which is environmental social and due diligence for a project. For a greenfield project like wind and solar, which are not been done previously at all. Only for category A projects like coal, the lenders audit being done on annual basis, still the loan amount is there. But for the solar projects, wind projects also, the ESDD after ESIA is being done before the closure of the financial deal. So this is the the screening level is increasing. As you are mentioning that all the funds are going to the ESG screen. Previously it was only the checklist that yes, it is done, but now lenders are also going before lending about the due diligence. That is the next step. After the screening, also going to the whether it is really executed or not. So, and that's why the social aspects and health and safety is very, very crucial. And health and safety, of course, it is easy to understand, but difficult to execute. But the the other aspect, the human rights, it is difficult to understand even. There are many aspects which are not easy to understand. Then of course it is very difficult to execute. For example, in the power sector, the gender diversity is very, very tough because in a coal-based power plant, hardly any women employee will go to work. So that's why it is a challenge when we are going through a ESG rating. So in the world average, the diversity is quite less. But in India, if you see, it is very challenging to increase the gender diversity in a power sector, particularly when you are still with not only coal, but also wind and solar. You see, those are in the far remote areas. That is another challenge, though it is easy to operate, but these are not in a city. So these are in far remote areas. So that's why increasing gender diversity, like if you see in Unilever, it is 52% they have achieved, and they are now trying to increase it in the leadership level, not only in the base level. But here actually 10, 12%, 13% is also a challenge. So that's why we should not jump into that ESG buzzword, but we have to analyze that what is right for us, because we cannot compare with a sector like L&T or a sector like Infosys when it comes to gender diversity or diversity as a whole. So that's why it is, you have to analyze, you have to create your baseline, and then you have to improve on year basis. And of course, you have to be aligned or to be aware about the global trends and how you can align your efforts to that on a long-term basis, because it cannot be done overnight. And in addition to greenwashing, now I'd like to also mention that like we are telling about people, planet, and profit, but we should add the purpose into it, because the purpose washing also is happening, and that is most important. To execute is all these three, people, planet, and profit, the purpose is very, very important. So I hope it connects your question.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Let's park our discussion for the next social aspect. Let's seek any questions or any points of discussion from the audience. If you have any questions.
Though I'm also participant, though the host also, so I reserve my privilege like the Dingra sir of faculty and the panelist. I hope it's okay with everyone. So gender diversity, yes, is difficult and though mandatory, and without that the holistic progress cannot happen. So coming to a specific question, like it is established that we are well behind. The desired and other sectors are flourishing, but we have to catch up. There is no deviation exceptions given by rule, policy or government. So what is your experience or sir's experience on global level in this, especially coming to power sector, where our other counterparts with whom we are comparing ourselves for most of the aspirations, framework are this, they are doing, and what are their best practices and what are the challenges to get it. And then I'll come to one more. And like in armed forces also we face the same challenge. But to great extent it has been overcome. So is it a case where we can lateral absorption of those people who are living in tough terrain coming and meet the goal as a organization and as a nation? An organization, so please your thoughts.
Yeah, that is a very, very good question and also very thoughtful. And to answer that, I'd like to just go back a few years when we started. Of course, it is a journey. And then last couple of years, we have tried to take some target on gender diversity. But previously, 4-5 years back, it was more just focusing more and see that how it can be improved. And we were around 6-7% maybe 5 years back, and now we are in gender diversity. It is 12 to 13%, and we are targeting for at least 5% in next 3 years. And you have to create conducive atmosphere. And for example, one policy which we brought, that is the leave during the pregnancy. So when the government came with this rule, maybe 2-3 years back or 4 years back, so we introduced it at least 7-8 years back. So 6 months policy. So that's why actually how the policies could be forward-looking, which is conducive to the female employees. So then actually it can be improved. And at site locations, like we have also, along with the corporate office, in the site locations, we have 5 days working days. So that also helps the female employees and also their families. But it is still a challenge, particularly for as we are transitioning from coal to renewable energy. The locations are basically very, very remote. And that needs also a cultural shift, which of course, as you are mentioning about the Western countries, so and Indian context, that actually still need to be
Shipping line, a lot of lady officers or Indian navigators at reasonable par with the European counterpart, Argentina and Denmark and other things. And in the shipping, civil shipping, merchant shipping, so that's one.
Yeah. And also creating awareness.
One small example to answer your question on directly hitting the nail on the right spot. Before that, I have a small question to audience. Which are the top 2 or 3 companies are known for their bad deeds, as per your mind? Known for wrong things. In India, I'm saying. Sorry? Okay. 1. Satyam. Kingfisher, PepsiCo. Correct. And anything from manufacturing side, mining, manufacturing and all? Okay. ठीक है, Vedanta Starlight, ठीक है, stop here. Alternate. Which are the good mining metal company, for example, in India, known for good deeds? Good deeds. Yeah, Sterlite. Then? Then? Anybody else? Tata, people will say that. Tata, the old timers and all. Huh?
Vedanta is trying to catch up.
Correct, both way, like it can, correct, I'll not say. So, and now coming to gender question, what your sir was saying. You know which is the company being provided better space to women and girls in the company with highest rate percentile in India? Sorry? Metal mining, I'm saying. Check. Ask Google Baba. It is Vedanta Group. They have crossed 45% their workforce, being a metal and mining. 45% of the workforce. When, I'll not name my company, but old-timer company like Tata, all those who used to say, metal mining में तो girls नहीं चलेंगी. ये mines पे कैसे काम करेगी? Plant में कैसे काम करेगी? Here in India, a company which is not even 27 years old had proven it's possible. Again, coming to pay rate. It's an open thing. If a lady colleague at the group writes my salary is less than XYZ at par, immediately taken care of. Whereas in India, for the same position, if a boy working will get roughly 12 to 20% hike extra for the same job role. If it is a girl and lady, it is lesser. But they have ensured. But बदनाम वही है गलियों में, गलत लोग बोल के, है ना? So, I'm talking about both metal mining in India examples.
I do agree because when I was appearing IIT, the girls were not allowed to appear only mining in 94.
Just listen to Sudha Murthy ma'am interview.
And journey so far now at par, they can apply. Yes.
They allowed now.
Yeah. So the country is changing.
It's more of a shift of thought process which has happened in the last few years. Because still there are industries who feel that women cannot do it without even giving a chance to allow them to do it. Because like for example,
And again, this question is not ends here. With respect to diversity, it's not about gender. What about people with disability? What about LGBTQ, transgender, or monetary sector, or somebody else? Say retired armed force. You hire some of the retired armed force, see the discipline they bring into your organization. Just in the name of, you will redefine what is discipline.
in fact, in hotel industries, especially the security.
Host is very happy.
I will take sir's permission. Discipline, they say ki armed forces, but when I went to Japan and my parameter of discipline got changed, I found I was indisciplined on many to acknowledge on record.
Too much of discipline is autocracy.
Yeah, no, even the kid who is able to walk and go to school, he first mantra is discipline. Any disaster management exercise, the one who is wrong, evacuated or gone on the wrong exit, he will acknowledge his fault. So I think that is even we also try to follow.
I used to take a mandate wherever I go as a panel. I don't go if there is no lady cooling the panel. Shalini is an old friend. She said yes. मैं हाँ कर दिया अभी वो पीछे हट गई.
That is acceptable.
हाँ, correct to some extent, but I cannot repeat same thing again. मैं भी इनको बोलूँगा किसी और को डालो. Normally होना चाहिए. Second, on health safety, on his, I'm completing your question on S part. How many of you came here by staircase? Anyone? You have gone up or down? Down, na? Correct. Just cross-checking. I also did same thing. You know reason why? Fire safety. It has gone into my DNA, to be very frank. I go to mall, I first go check staircase. If anything goes wrong, how do I evacuate my family? Imagine there is a fire outside, you are inside. We all. What will happen? If you don't know the pathway rightly, we all fix up. This is what Indian standards are. Ideally, the hotel health and safety person should come before start and explain the health and safety of this room. If anything goes wrong, how to get evacuated and where to assemble, whom to dial and all those things. It's one of the best hotel in Bombay. But yeah, you go to ITC, Triton, everywhere, it's same. We only open morning somewhere saying, अगर कुछ हो जाता है तो उससे पहले नहीं. उपहार होता है तो हम समझते हैं कि सिनेमा हॉल्स में फायर सेफ्टी क्या होना है. Coming back to the same question, I'm taking, sir, your question without putting time ahead. So when you say social, divide this part in your organization in two ways. Internal stakeholder and external stakeholder. Internal is all your employees and their maximum up to family number. External is, we know, CSR is a very buzzword in India. We know that is external part. On internal part, again, health and safety pattern. Have you heard of any industry coming out in India without any fatality? When I was part of Holcim, 2013, 14, 15, there's a cement plant came out at Chhattisgarh. The only mandate from group CEO, not a single fatality. You can take time. Our competitor came out, Ultratech of the plant with 3 years. ACC took lamba, pedda, 5.5 years. But zero fatality. Ensured on document. But there is no regard to those kind of things. There is no level playing. Somebody completed 3 years back, uska to bottom line बढ़ जाएगा ना. It's not level playing. So others will what will think? मेरे को क्या जाता है 2-4 मरना है तो मरना है तो मुझे भी 3 साल में करना है. ठीक है? This is what our standard. If you are again boiling down to, if you are a ESG in your company, take care of these things. Very consciously, as our co-panelist was explaining, the life, dignity to life, value of life, we must learn from others where it is been, termed in a bigger way. हमारे यहाँ इंडिया में लाइफ जाना आना रोड में इट्स लाइक नॉर्मल. हम लोग इतने थिक स्किन हैं बॉम्बे में कि हम लोग 2 घंटे बाद उसी रोड में चलते हैं. मीडिया बोलती है बॉम्बे में कभी रास्ता क्या बोलते हैं, व्हाट इज दैट, नेवर स्लीप. हाँ वो पॉजिटिव बात है. एक्चुअली नेगेटिविटी है कि हम लोग थिक स्किन है. वो मर गया हमको फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. मेरे को तभी फर्क पड़ता है जब मेरे घर में कुछ होता है. पीडब्ल्यूडी तो देखता हूँ रास्ते में, मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. जब मेरा बच्चा पीडब्ल्यूडी पैदा होता है ना तब मुझे फर्क पड़ता है. दिस अप्लाइज टू ऑल इंडियंस. रीजन व्हाई आवर स्टैंडर्ड्स आर नॉट गोइंग. आई टोल्ड इन द बिगिनिंग, ESG means lot of challenges. If you accept, be here. Otherwise, tell her कि sorry ma'am, I am leaving the course. Back to you, sir.